medicate?
Well, no. Well, if people need medication, I mean, if they have a serious depression, for example, then for a while at least, they may well need the medication. You're doing therapy at the same time, so eventually the person will hopefully be able to get off the medication.
What do these pills do? Increase the dopamine? Make them happy? What does it do?
Oh, it's somewhat of a mystery.
A happy pill.
Yeah, they all work a little differently, but and I'm not, I'm certainly not advocating, and these things aren't addictive that I'm suggesting, but sometimes to get over a hump, for example, until you would be able to get more involved in things where you would be able to have more people around you and develop these relationships, it would be sort of and at the same time having therapy, understanding why that might be something that would be fearful because you don't want to endure any more losses, that could be something that would be helpful for at least for a while.
Would a couple glasses of wine do the same thing, Carol?
Oh, but the next day, next day wouldn't be good.
You have a little hangover. Let's go to Las Vegas. I'm not you and me. I'm going to our phones here. Go ahead, Kathy.
Hi. You're not going to go with her, huh? Hello, George. You're just the best at what you do. And Dr. Lieberman, I have a question. Since you're looking a little more in depth at patterns of attraction, I haven't read your book, but I'm 64 years old. I was recently paralyzed. I've lived a wonderful life, and so I'm composing a new one. But what's happened is, so far, I've had good relationships, in my life. I'm pretty fairly normal, as normal as I wanted to be. But I've attracted these men, and it just made me think when I heard what you were discussing. And they don't want an intact whole person. I'm not negative. I'm fine by myself. I'm not negative about having another relationship. But I feel almost phobic about my ability to have a good idea of what to look out for with people since I am in this condition and since I felt like I really attracted people that I really didn't particularly want to be around or that didn't particularly want to be equal in terms of relationship. And so I'm wondering if you have any quick ideas about what to look out for.
Yes. Well, two things. One is certainly one can understand why you are in a vulnerable position. I mean, not just the normal vulnerable of anybody getting into a love relationship where you can get your heart broken, but being physically vulnerable and attracting. I mean, have you found that you've attracted men who are somewhat controlling?
Well, that's the thing. And I was sort of on the other end. I was very energetic. I've lived a wonderful life, very active and traveled a lot and done many things and just sort of been sort of Renaissance in that way. And so, when their eyes glaze over when you start to talk to them and you realize what kind of people they are, you can just tell by so many small things how they're going to be. But even if a relationship goes a ways, I'm really insecure about my ability to judge, I think, is what's going on. I'm almost phobic about it. So
yes, certainly you would want to know someone for a while and perhaps meet them in a situation, where you'd be friends with them first, where you'd get to know them well, know what kind of character they are before you would consider having a romantic relationship, because there are men who prey upon women who are weaker, whether it's a physical issue or whether it's women they can control.
How do they find them?
Well, they have radar, just like the bat.
Oh, yeah. It's
interesting.
They telegraph. I mean, I know enough about that sort of thing that, I don't know what I can do to be careful that I don't. I mean, I'm energetic and.
Well, have you ever been married?
Yes. In fact, when George threw me a curve when he was talking about Ashifa, was it?
Shavika, my aunt, yeah.
Yeah. I was married to somebody, I don't know if you remember the Psychic magazine. It was published for a while in the 70s and got to start on this whole journey of the path that we're all on. I heard of her, and I read a paper, I think, that she wrote. And so when you said that name, I hadn't heard that name probably for 30 years.
Wow, small world.
Anyway, yes, to answer your question, I have been married, and I've had 2 good long-term relationships. My partner died 3 years ago, the person that I thought I was going to stay with for the rest of my life. So I'm healing from that. And as I said, I'm not trying to find a relationship, but I'm not negative about, or I'm not unwilling to look at, having a partner.
Well, the fact that you've had these good, that you were married and had these good relationships in the past is a very positive sign. So I take it that did you have a good relationship with your father?
Right one.
Okay. So then. But
I'm worried. Excuse me for interrupting, but I'm worried about. It's like the field is not the same. In other words, the people that are attracted to somebody that's on wheels are not going to be the same as I'm a completely different parent person. You know what I mean, in terms of first encounter. Because of that situation. Maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on that, but.
Yes, that's a good point. I think that maybe you need to be seeing yourself in a different light. I mean, I know you were saying you're so energetic, or you were, and so on. I think maybe you need to be more convincing to yourself that of all the wonderful qualities that you do have, and this is sort of a relatively minor one in what people should be considering when they want to partner with someone. But you do need, as I was saying before, you do need to get to know these people better before you embark on a romantic relationship. You want someone who's spiritual. You want someone who's able to see all your other wonderful qualities and who isn't looking to control you.
Do people generally seek out similar dates, relationships? If they've had 4 relationships, they're generally the same?
Sometimes, because of the fact that so much has to do with their relationships to their parents, that there can be sort of programmed in one way or another, either towards someone like their parent of the opposite sex or opposite to, or some other consideration, some other issue that they're trying to deal with. And so, yes, oftentimes they are propelled they're attracted towards the same kind of people. But, as different things change in their life, that can change what they're propelled towards as well. Or, of course, nowadays, when people are likely to not just have one mother or one father, they have a stepmother or a stepfather or more than one stepmother or stepfather. So there are a lot of influences that children are growing up with these days.
Let's go to Lima, Ohio. Doug, you're with us on Coast to Coast. Hey, Doug, welcome.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I have a similar situation to a few of your callers. I don't know how deep to go in this, but basically I didn't exhibit very many phobias at all through my young adult life. Then when my first daughter was born, basically it just went crazy. I started off just with the I suppose what all first-time parents go through, the phobia that the sudden death, if there's a coughing, I'm afraid she's choking. I'm up and checking the bed, 30 times a night. And then it just continued getting worse and worse. Every single bad thing that could possibly happen is going to happen. And that started about 20 years ago. And I went exactly what you said that you don't like to do. I did once a month, basically going into the office and them saying, really, well, what do you want to try this time? And then just throwing medicine at me. I gained 100 pounds. I spent a year in bed. I attempted suicide. It was horrible. I just couldn't stand it anymore. And even to this day now, I basically isolate myself and self-medicate with, I have to take sleeping pills at night or I cannot sleep.
So how old is your daughter now? Are 20?
I have 3 daughters, 22, 19, and 16.
Okay. So is it still about issues related to them? Are you still worried that things are going to happen to them?
Yeah, it's horrible. I know what I'm about to say is going to make me sound absolutely insane, more so than I already have. When I was very young, I'd say 10, 11 years old, I would have very vivid dreams. For instance, I dreamt that my grandfather passed, and immediately following that he did. I dreamt that my aunt passed, and right after that she did in the exact same way. So what happened was these dreams just kind of faded away, and they just left. I didn't have any for, decade. And what started happening then was after my daughters were born, I began having those same very vivid dreams again. And and of course they never came true.
But they would scare the heck out of you.
It would. And there was nothing I could do to convince myself that this time it wasn't going to come true.
I don't blame you, Doug, after having a couple happen like that.
And this time the dreams were about something, your daughter's dying.
Yes.
Yes.
Only a minute to go here, Carol.
Yes, okay, that is difficult, and no wonder you have to take sleeping pills. What I would suggest is that you do get to a therapist who, isn't going to just give you medication. I don't know that you need medication, but you do need therapy to talk about all these things. These are long-standing things, and it's important in order to be able to be a good father now, even though they're older, as well as for your own life, to be able to not continuously have that fear. There's some guilt connected with it, too, and maybe some ambivalence about having had your daughters. There's a lot to go into there, and don't get caught up in this once-a-month kind of medication stuff.
No, and do what I do, Doug. Stay up as long as you can. You listen to this show, and then pass out afterwards, like I do.
It's funny because I just accidentally came across you, and they started talking to the first guy, and I'm like, oh, my God.
We are on the air in Ohio until 5 in the morning, at least. So, some stations even play it further. But if that doesn't put you to sleep afterward, nothing will.
Well, I think that I lay in bed, and I just absolutely cannot, even with the sleeping pills. I haven't been on any regular medication for years because it made me feel horrible.
Well, you keep listening. Doug, we're out of time. We're going to swing by here and say thank you to you, Carol. Appreciate you being on the program.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it a lot.
I shall be back in a moment with Mark Dice as we talk about Big Brother. And I don't mean your big brother. We'll be back.